All right. Welcome everybody to the Boom Learning Creating Boom Cards Masterclass. I have with me today Dave Sindrey, Anna Scaramella, and Monica Molmisa, who are very, very good at making boom cards. And they are going to talk a little bit today about some specific topics of making boom cards and some new features that we added to making boom cards very recently. So this is very exciting for me and for us to be here today to talk to you. I want to give a little bit of time for each of them to introduce themselves and talk about themselves. And I'll start by asking Dave Sindrey. Please let us know a little bit about you and what you're working on.
Okay, well, I was trained as a speech language pathologist, and right from the start, I loved making my own materials. And I remember my supervisors telling me that you'll never have time in the real world to do that. And now I'm in the real world, and I stubbornly am still doing it. So I worked for a while creating materials mostly for people to print to work with kids with permanent hearing loss and cochlear implants. That was the field I worked in. And I worked for a while for a cochlear implant company providing online materials. It's called the Listening Room, all in print material. And when COVID hit, I had lots of requests for me to put something up online so that I could share that with everybody. And so when I started, I was just putting up drawings that I had already done and versions of activities I had done in print form. And then I started really discovering what boom cards could do. So it was a great fun thing for me to do. And now I'm a little bit addicted. Right now I'm working on my PhD in hearing science. I just finished my master's in audiology as well. And I'm just finishing up writing. I created videos for to convince parents to keep hearing aids on babies and strategies for doing so. So that's what I've been doing lately.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for being here. It's an honor to have you here. Anna Scaramella, please introduce yourself and let everyone
Hi,
know.
I'm Anna Scaramella. I am, like Dave, I feel like I am a little bit addicted to boom cards and making boom cards. I came across them in 2020 when the world turned upside down, and I found myself having to teach online, and I had no idea how. And that's when I found boom cards, and I started making them and been in love with them ever since. I sometimes joke that they're the best thing since sliced bread, and I use them a lot in the classroom. I teach ENL. When I started making boom cards, I was teaching high school. I now teach elementary school, and that's it. I am originally from Brazil. I've been teaching for many, many years, and that's it.
Thank you so much for being here. Your
No, thank you.
expertise is greatly appreciated. Monica M., hello. Go ahead and
Hi.
introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Good day to everyone. I'm Monica Molmisa of Speak and Teach PH. Just like Dave, I'm trained as a speech and language pathologist in the Philippines. That's why it's PH. And if now is like 4 p.m. in Eastern time, it's actually 4 a.m. here. So, but I'm so glad to be here. I'm actually excited to be here. It's aside from being trained as a speech and language pathologist, I'm also an AAC specialist. So actually, boom cards was a pandemic discovery. Just like Anna, I started in 2020 when we suddenly became teletherapists. Although teletherapy was a thing before then, but it's just like it became a thing just during the pandemic. So we needed to switch from print materials, from physical materials into digital materials. That's where I discovered boom cards. And just like them, I'm addicted to boom cards. I love making them, and I continuously use them even until now. So I'm so glad to be here right now, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Your expertise is also very highly appreciated. Making boom cards is is fun and addictive. I agree with you all on that one. Just really quickly, before I let Dave talk about art and sound and all kinds of things about making boom cards, I just want to let you know about the chat. And in the Q&A box might be down below for Zoom. If you write your question and say who the question's for, like Anna answer this or Monica answer this, let us know in there, and then it will help us organize the Q&A segment at the end. And that's it for me. Dave, if you would like to take it away and talk about what you're working on, that would be great.
Sure. I'll just say that, you know, I'm actually calling from Mexico, even though I'm Canadian. I used to live here with my wife, and we ran a clinic here, and we did a lot of telepractice. And this was many years ago, 12 years ago. But telepractice has a great reach, as you all know now. And I especially like it for parent coaching. But what was great too is reaching across time zones. My wife used to work with families in Spain from Mexico, and the time zone worked great. So to include other family members in the evening while we're here. And Monica, I can't believe how awake you look. You look more awake than I do. It's 3 o'clock here in Mexico. Now, Mexico City, where I am, I'm actually in Coyoacan, where across the street is the first church that was ever built in the New World, built out of stones taken from a pyramid, unfortunately. And right next door to the house we rented is a house lived in by Hernan Cortez, and it's 500 years old too. So it's pretty cool. The only bad thing is everything's made out of tile and brick, and like I'm surrounded by reverberation. So, and I'm talking about sound today. But I think it might just work because we can talk about, you know, trying to get a good sound quality. Now, for me, I think that people, especially if you have long sound clips, like maybe sentences or paragraphs, people are more picky, I think, about sound quality than they are about image quality. And if you get a good sound quality, you can really make it something that people don't even think about, don't get frustrated with, won't leave. And I think that's especially true for videos. But even for these short sound clips, I try to do my best. And what I have is this Blue Yeti mic. And I also use a pop filter. Now, because there's so much reverberation here, I turn down the gain a little bit so that I get closer to my microphone. If you think of gain as kind of a hoop around your microphone, when you turn down the gain, it won't pick up all the other sounds. I still have a lot of reverberation, but right now I won't get sound from the other rooms. And two, at home, I'm not working on, you know, the wooden table I'm working on now. I actually have the microphone on a separate table because the microphone can actually pick up, you know, knocking the table or even the fan from the laptop. So I work pretty hard to make sure I get at least start with a pretty clean recording. And so I'm talking about that because a lot of times you can't find the right sound effect, the sound effect you want. And so I created them. But sometimes it's actually more fun to create your own. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I make the images, how I use sounds within my boom card decks, and hopefully I'll get to some real examples so you'll see how I hopefully use them to build engagement. So I have the characters say something funny, or I have a good sound effect to bring them into the story, and that's what I'm exploring more and more. I went through a time where I just started adding sounds, and everyone kept reporting how much more the kids love to play and love to play those sounds. I think earlier in the day, someone mentioned how the kids are addicted to the ding sound. Well, some kids are, you know, addicted to, like, here's one that yes, they sounds like that are really engaging for some reason. So it's good to be very immature so you can know what really resonates with the kids. So first, I'd just like to go maybe through, well, this is my pop filter that doesn't fit on this Mexican table, but usually I have that so that the microphone also won't pick up your P's and your T's and everything. You can set it if you don't have a pop filter, so you're talking kind of beside the microphone, it'll still work pretty well, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Hi, Dave. I just wanted to let you know that we didn't hear that sound.
I think
Oh,
we
you
know
did?
what
Okay,
happened.
so maybe I have to share my system sound. Just a second.
Cancel the screen share, and then when you click it again, there might be a little checkbox.
All right, hang on a sec. I'm gonna share sound and share. That's important. Thank you. Now let's see if I. Did you hear it that time?
Oh, we heard it.
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just go through maybe a sample deck first, just to show you what I'm talking about in the studio. Now, one tip I'll give you is that when you start creating, start making folders. So when I first started, I just started throwing stuff in here, but now you see how many folders I have. It's still hard to find things. And sometimes when I'm busy, I forget to folder things. But right now, yeah, folders are saving me because, as I said, I'm addicted and I've done a million of these. This was the very first deck I put together. It's just a listening one. I put together I'm usually a flow magic guy, but this was a randomized deck. So I did my template up here at the top. And then for each slide, what I would do is link the correct sound, link the correct image, and then find the sound here that matches it. And you'll see down here, this is a sound. Usually I can just drag a sound onto like this, and then pick my sound. I have them all in the series for Listen Up Froggy, but I could just pick the one that was snoring, for example. I'll delete that now because I already have it here. Now, I didn't change the image here. This is the image that comes up. When you play it, it looks like the fly is actually saying the sound that the frog has to find. So let's see. So if I click this, hear the snoring, and the child, that's the correct sound. And then we go on to the next one, and we can just get this and realize that's the right sound. Now you see that was pretty easy to set up for my, if I wanted to add a new sound, it comes, a new card, it comes just from the template here, and I just change out my images, and I'm all set up with a template here. Let me just delete this. So really, when I'm putting this together, I just have to put up 4 images. One has to be right, and then pick the sound that goes with the right image. And that was a pretty simple thing to do. I mean, I spent about 3 or 4 minutes setting this up, and then just made many versions, bringing in different images, and then changing the sound. So to change the sound, you just go down here once you've selected the sound to change sound, and you can just find a new one that matches one of the images. Pretty simple. And then I actually started moving on to kind of using them within games that I had drawn. So let me just go back to Masterclass here. And I picked Goaler Bear and the Arctic Hares. And this is a game where we're looking under, in this one, minimal pairs. I'll just preview it a bit. And you'll see that what we're trying to do is to score on the bear. And you can be team 1 or team 2. Now, underneath the cards are these images. And I was able to find online for free someone who had recorded a slap shot. So as I drop this, as I let it go, you can hear the slap shot. Now, this is not, if we go back, this is not an image. It is actually, it's a sound. But what I've done is I've changed the background image. You see, here's the change the sound. I can change it. It's set for slap shot, and it's different than this one. This one is an image, right? So what I can do is just align these back again. Sorry, I'm very picky about getting things right again. And if we go back into the game, you'll see that I can even do it for little reinforcers. So let's say team 2 won. So we can do lots of different things just to kind of build engagement. So if you look at the fish, this is something you can feed to the bear to get an extra shot. And it turns out it sounds like he likes the fish, so he'll allow you to take another shot. So that's how I'm kind of using that's how I'm kind of using sound just to kind of engage a bit more. I'm finding that even with, for example, this game, this is where a little flea is trying to jump to the dog, so the dog will take him to market. And I actually have this photo online. I got it free for that, and I made my little characters. But you can like set a sound to have a background image of this. Like I had a little GIF instead of just a static image. You can put in GIFs, and as soon as you let it go, whoops. Oh, it didn't play. Oh, great. All right. Let me just see what happens. But I can put in pigeons. And actually, when I move this little dot here, now the boing is something I got online, but the wee hee was something that I recorded myself and did changes with Audacity. So I guess I'll talk about Audacity in a second. But for now, let me just show you how I set up some sounds. And I just made just a practice deck here just to show you how I might use sounds differently. So for a button, this is a button I created in PowerPoint. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I wanted to make this play. When I click this, I want to hear the little raccoon laugh because he's a nasty little guy. He steals marshmallows in the game that I have him in. And here's the sound. And when you guess, and you notice you can't play it unless you preview. All right, and this is where when you lose the game, the balloon pops. And this is one where the possum, if it falls off the tree, it falls off the branch and falls in the water. And here's my idol. That goes with that sound. All right, so let me just go back and I'll show you how it's a little different for stationary sounds, because what we can do is we can just pull this over and stretch it out to kind of match the button that we want to do. And now I don't like this image here. So what we can do is change the background image. Here it is here. I'll go in here. And now what I can do is just pick any folder, because the first image of the folder is nothing. And I can just select that, and now it's clear. And when I go to preview, you'll see that this just looks like a button, and it plays the sound. So that's for stationary characters. And I can do the same for this one. Whoops, that's a problem. But you'll see that if I stretch it out, the image inside can get very distorted. So this is something only for just kind of matching to your character. So I'll do that again, and I'll just pick nothing. Now, for anything that you want to drag as a character, for example, this doesn't quite work. Now, images are different. This is an image. This is a sound. This image, you can stretch it out like this, and it may change size, but it doesn't get stretched. It's a nice, clean PNG file. And so what I do is I usually keep a notepad next to my computer, and I mark down the size of that once I get it sized properly for my game and its position. So then what I'll do is I'll go to my sound, and I'll try to stretch it out close, and then I'll go to size, and I'll match the size. So there we go, 99 and 156. Okay, now I'm ready to change the background image. And if I go back to Masterclass, where is it? And I can pick the same image. Now I have something that I can mark as draggable. It's a sound, but it's draggable. And what I can do, actually, it's a little easier. What I do is I just align these to put it in the right place on the game. And then I delete the one that I don't need. So you can usually find it over here. So image idle, there it is. No, that's my. Anyway, what I would normally do is just find this and then delete it. So I can delete this. And you'll see that I can drag this around. And when I preview, this will, when I let it go, play the sound. I think maybe you need a couple of examples just to see how this might work. But for one example I'll give is this game of King Kong Crunch, where I have to try to get this little character across to safety before the gorilla bites down. And you'll see that in the preview, it's not as much fun without sound. But if I go back and I recreate this, now with the PNG, I had to do some fiddling to make sure that it's not too far out like this, and it's just like this. It's just lined up properly. It's the right size. So what I did is I marked down my size here, and what I'll do is I'll pull out a sound, and I'm going to go to Masterclass so I can get the gorilla laugh. Here it is. And now I'll just make this about the right size. But you see how it's stretching out the image. I want it to fit this image perfectly. And this is why I did it first as a PNG. So I'll go to size and I'll get 348. And then I'll go 306. There we go. And now I know this is the right size. And whoops, it didn't hold. Hold on. 306. All right. I'll go here. And now what I can do is go to background. I'm already in Masterclass, and I can pick the same image. And you see it's the exact same size now. And so what I can do is just get rid of this one, delete. I'll make this draggable, and I'll link it to my drop zone. And then I'll line it up where it needs to go. So now I know it won't get stretched, and when I play it, the image won't look blurry. If we do this, we can show how as I move it down, he's pretty happy about eating the poor little banana guy. All right. Okay, so what I'd like to do is show how I make sounds next. And what I use is my trusty microphone, but also Audacity, which is a free program. So this is Audacity. The only problem with this is you can't pull in MP3 files, but most other files you can. And so I used my 14-year-old son to record this guy yelling rabbits, but I can't roll my R's like he can. My family's half Mexican, so they can all roll their R's, everyone but me. But anyway, he did a bunch of recording. And what I can do is pick the best one. And sometimes you'll even hear me coaching in here. So what I can do is listen here. Rabbits. Now you see the reverberation. He recorded this here in Mexico with all these tiles and these. So there is some cleanup you can do. And what you do is you select an area that's just the background noise like this, and you go to effect, and you go down here to noise reduction, and it says get noise profile. So it's important that you've picked a section where there's no voice there. They're just going to pick up the noise that's around you, like the hum of the laptop or the hum of the fridge, or and what it does, it has that profile now. And what I'll do is I'll pick the whole recording, and I'll go back to effect, and I'll go back to noise reduction, and I'll just say okay. And what that does is takes out everything that it sampled a second ago. So now we have a much cleaner recording. And I'll also take the parts I don't want and edit and delete. And I don't need this part, edit, delete. Now, this doesn't quite sound right. Let's listen. Rabbit. So this won't be as clean as the one that I actually used in the game. But what I can do is go to effect. And the best way to change the pitch is to change the speed, I think. And so I usually go to change change pitch. Now, right now it's going to go 52% higher, and it'll sound kind of like the flea. Let's see what it sounds like. All right. Now, Control Z is always your savior. If I do it again, I'll select it all. I'll go to Effect, and I'll change speed. What I want to do is take it down about minus 15. And now this sounds more like Marco the Magnificent. It's a magician. He's got a deeper voice than my 14-year-old son. Rabbits. You get so angry at the rabbits. And so then what I do is I can just file, export, and export as MP3. So the boom decks use MP3 files. And once I save this to my folder with all those game elements, I upload it to my studio so I can use that sound again. Now there's another example I wanted to give, just with the same idle sound. So we've got all right. And so what I can do is show you how I use free sound. Now this is a place where audio nerds just put up free sounds for anything. So I can put in a didgeridoo, I think that's how you say it, from Australia. And I've already found the best one. Here's this one. And I can download this for free. And so with this, what I want to do is put in a new track. I'll put in a new, let's say, mono track. I'm not sure what the new file is going to be like. And I want to open, I'll go to downloads. There it is. Now there's the new free didgeridoo sound I did. And oh, it is stereo, but that's okay. I'll select it all. And what I'll do is go to tracks, and I'm going to mix down to mono. All right, now I'm going to pick this. This looks way too loud. And this is something I had to learn because people were saying that the sound effect was great, but they had to yank their headphones off because it was too loud. So I can't really tell you how loud it has to be, but visually, it's about this loud, about this big. So I have to take just this. Actually, I'm going to end the didgeridoo, edit, delete. I'm going to reduce the volume on this by just selecting this track, Effect, Amplify, and just bring it down. Let's say bring it down 20. Okay, so that looks probably pretty good. So let's play the whole thing and see how it sounds. Okay, so I'm not happy with that because it's the background is not loud enough now. So I'm going to select this again, and I'm going to amplify, reduce by more like 15 maybe. There we go. Let's try it again. All right. So again, when I have time to fiddle with it, it ends up sounding better. When I'm not in a reverberant area, I've actually made a blanket for it over my desk in some places where I've had to record. Hanging up blankets or hanging up towels or whatever can really help if you're having a problem with reverberation. But all now I have to do, let's say this was the way I wanted it, I could just export selected audio if you wanted, or export the whole thing as MP3. But when you do selected audio, it comes out as an MP3. All right, so we'll just pause for a second. Anyone have any questions about how I kind of pull the sounds together? Everybody okay? All right, okay, so I'm gonna go back to-
We do have a question, Dave, we do have a question from
Okay.
Sandra.
Yeah.
In addition to free sound, could you recommend another website where you can get a bunch of collections of sounds?
Well, yeah, free sound, you'd spend a lot of time going through kind of garbage, and you might sometimes have to, like, for example, the possum falling, I made that from two sounds. I found someone going, and then I found someone else who recorded a bloop And so I put those two together. So I find most of my things on Freesound, but I found other websites. Sometimes you're looking for a rooster. So you say free rooster sound effect. And I do those searches. And I have to say that, you know, it's a real time waster. You go through those sites looking for something that's usable and workable. So I can't really recommend one, because a lot of times I have to go searching for something that I'm stuck with. But I've managed to find everything. I don't think I've resorted to paying for a sound effect yet. I've done a lot of sound effects.
Okay, cool. Thanks, David.
Yeah, no problem. So let's just go to the rabbits example here. Twins Birthday Magic. And in this game, what we're trying to do is put the rabbits back in the hat before the magician comes back. The twins have by mistake taken all the rabbits out of the hat, and they're worried because the magician is coming back. And so I've done these puzzle pieces as part of the game. What you're supposed to do is have all these rabbits back in the hat before the puzzle is complete. So when the puzzle is complete and the rabbits are still out, this guy yells, "Rabbits!" You know, he gets very angry. But it turns out it's a lot more fun if when this final piece comes in place, it actually says rabbits. Now, this was something that was very finicky for me. What you'll see is I've got 4 drop zones, and they're all set to snap to center, and they're the exact same size as these 4 puzzle pieces. So again, if I had made it as a sound, it would have been very tricky not to stretch the image and to have it the right size. So what I'm going to do is show you how I'll just take the 3 top puzzle pieces off, so we can get to this one. And I'll just note the size. It's 92 by 119. And so I can pick a sound. Let's put it somewhere where I can see it. And rabbit, says Marco. I'll use that one. And what was the size again? 92 by 119. So I'll make this 92 and 19. And then what I want to do is change. I want to make this draggable. And I'm going to put it to this part of the picture. Whoops. And what I want to do is change the background image. So I'll go and I'll find my folder. And I'll find the exact, whoops, still loading. Come on. No, I'm not getting my images here. Hold on a sec. Let's see if I can get it in the other one. Twins Birthday Magic. Here we go. Oh, you know why? It's because I did a search for troll. Here we go. So Masterclass. And there's Marco. Marco the Magnificent. Now it's the exact right size for this. I'll delete this. I also would have marked down the position of this. What I can do is send this to the back, align, Z order, send to rear, and I will use this to line up the other puzzle pieces. 1, 2, 3, align and align. And now when we play the game, if we get that last puzzle piece in place, and I'm not hearing it. Okay.
Rabbits.
Oh, there it is. Okay, rabbits. Okay. Let's try again. Yeah, I think my Mexican
Rabbits.
I think my Mexican internet speed is a little slow right there, but there's rabbits. All right, so let me take you through one more example. This is just to talk about how to make images very easily. So this is a game I did where you actually hear the troll read a passage, and by reading the passage, you have to figure out who the troll is talking about, where they are, when they are. You know, it's a good story comprehension task. And so what the listener will do is drag these to, the story is about the girl, the story's in the park, the story happened in the summer. And so they have to listen for all of these information to get it right. So let's say this is my template, and this is one of the ones that I did properly. Let's just try it.
This was exciting. Steve won the contest. He had only bought one ticket, but the teacher pulled his name from the box. Now he was allowed to do whatever he wanted all day long. What a great contest. Steve took his bike and rode down the hallway to the library. Weaving in and out of the tables, Steve rang the bell on his handlebars to warn people he was coming. Steve loved riding his bike, but it was too snowy to ride outside.
All right, so you can hear a few of the answers here. It's winter. It's at school. It was Steve. It wasn't an adult male probably, and I think he was pretty happy, I guess. So I'm not sure if I got them all right, but anyway, this one's not set up properly. This is just my sample. But the idea is that they can listen to that, and with my sample, I can, I just need to change this image that has the written test in case they need it. And I just have to change the sound here. Now, this image is something I could make very easily in PowerPoint, and I'll show you how I use PowerPoint to make my images. And so usually I'll make my, you'll see I can just put together, a menu very easily using text from PowerPoint, shapes from PowerPoint. Even these are just shapes with different sized borders and different colors. Right here, it's very easy to change the color for that. Let's see, we'll change the shape fill here to red. And you can even just drop little images in place to make a button. I just have this on top of a circle, and the circle has a shadow on it. You'll see that I have some images here. I can do a bit of image editing just by going to picture format, let's say color, and you can set a transparent color. So I'll just pick this as transparent, the white. You see it's not perfect. You can see little bits of white, but it works well to put it on a box and make a button out of it, because all I'd have to do is collect both elements, right click on that, and save as picture. And let's save it here. I'll just save this as a raccoon. Save. And now that saves as a PNG. So there, I'm ready to go use that in my game with that raccoon laugh. For the troll reads, I just have to insert a shape. Down here is a little speech bubble. I want it no outline, and I'm going to change this to white. And you can't see it, but I will put a shadow on it. I always pick the same shadow for consistency. And again, right click, save as picture. And now I have my speech bubble. And I can use that as a background for my speech sounds. All right. So let's see if I can show one more thing. I think what I'll do is just end by showing how I used it with Raiders of the Lost Chip Bag. And so in this game, you can see how, let's take off some of the cards. These would normally be articulation cards. You'll see how if I click and release this game card, we've got sound, adventure sound for the adventurer to go up the stair. If I click on this one, the idol's magic is broken, so the wall goes back. If I move the wall, now I got all of these sounds off free sound. That's a cinder block being dragged across basement floor. Who knows why these guys actually record these. And here's our sound that we talked about. And his magic pulls the wall over to threaten the explorer. I even have chip crunch for the magic chip bag that never gets empty. All right. And so I hope that helps just to see how you make different sound effects The one I didn't talk about, I'm just remembering, is this one for Fairies First Class. And I'll just say that, sometimes what you can do just for theme, for setting, you can have something playing automatically when the new card comes up. So let's just go to this. So I have this set so that it plays automatically, but also that if I click on it, I can stop it. And so if we go back here, we can see how I did that. I took the image, which is just a GIF, but this also text that I dragged in, and there's a lot of images here. So what I did for the sound was just to click to add a sound, and you'll see here it's the intermission MP3. And I just dragged this to fit my screen, but I also tried to put it underneath this character. So I had to use my Z order to put it back a bit. So it's under this and under this. So it looks proper. And then what I did was down at the bottom here, sorry, let's pick the sound again. I set it to allow pause. You notice I clicked it and paused the sound in case you want to talk with a child. And I also clicked autoplay. And what autoplay does is as soon as you get on the screen, it starts playing. So anyway, hopefully that's how I've used sound. But I think it really brings character to a lot of the games you're playing. And my approach is just to use it as quick and funny so you can get back to the work you need to do as a speech path. So I'll leave it at that. Are we leaving questions to the end, or did anyone have any questions now?
There are a couple questions for you right now, but I think I'll leave them for the end so that Anna can speak.
Okay.
And again, please use the Q&A box, and then we can interact with them a little
right,
bit
thank
at
you.
the end too. Thank you, Dave, for that.
Yeah, sure.
That's a lot of excellent information about using sound. Audacity is free, so anyone can just download that. And I think I'll try to find a link to their website for the Zoom chat for everyone so that you can.
There's a really good YouTube video about how to use a microphone that I wish I had found earlier. I solved most of my problems my own, but this one mentions all of it. I'll put in the chat.
Okay, that sounds excellent. Next, Anna is going to speak about Flow Magic, which is an awesome part of Boom Cards that lets you make all kinds of variety in there, and branching paths and adventures and things like that. So Anna, thank you, and I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Well, it's going to be hard to top Dave in the wow factor because that was unbelievable. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. But Flow Magic is one of my favorite features of Boom Cards, and I think that it allows us to create so many different things. Let me find my screen that I want to share with you. Okay. Okay, so like I said before, my name is Anna. I'm a wife and a mom to three, not so little anymore. I like to say that they're my little girls, but they're not so little anymore. I'm a full-time teacher. I currently teach lower elementary ENL. So most of my students are, actually all of my students are language learners. I am an English language learner myself. So this is a position that was really a dream position in the dream school. Like I said, I'm originally from Brazil, and most of the community in my building, in my school, is Brazilian. So I am right where I wanted to be. I started creating resources in 2020, started everything with the pandemic. And about a year ago, because I am addicted and so obsessed with Boom Cards, I decided to create a course to show teachers exactly what to do to get them creating Boom Cards. So today I want to talk to you about what Flow Magic is, what you can make, some examples of what you can make. And I'm going to show you that you can create an interactive story, and a board game. Again, I teach elementary students, so all of my boom decks are childish, or the clip arts that I use are geared towards my little guys. So basically, what is flow magic? In 2 words, it's conditional logic. So you're going to condition the buttons on the screen to do what you want them to do. You are going to add links to these buttons, and every card must have a link that tells the deck where to go next. So when you decide to use flow magic, you're going to tell each card in your deck, whether you have 10 cards or 100 cards, you're going to tell each card what to do, where to go. One of the things that you can create is a table of contents, which is what I just created over here. So with each button that I click, it takes me to a different page. So I clicked on what is flow magic. It took me to the one where it's talking about flow magic. Then I added a button down here that's going to take me to the card that's going to give you examples of what to make, right? What to make, it takes you over here. So what to make in flow magic, what can you make in flow magic? You can make table of contents, you can create board games, which is honestly, I think my favorite thing to create in flow magic is board games. I love creating board games and giving kids tasks to complete in order to move on to the next stage. Interactive stories, escape rooms. Funny story about escape rooms. It took me a while to venture out and create an escape room until I realized that all it was flow magic. It's just flow magic. It's in how you design your card that the student stays locked in there until they complete all of the tasks, and that allows them to move on to the next one. You can create automatic review. When a student chooses a wrong answer, for example, it can take them directly to a card where they can review the content that they got wrong. I mean, and many, many, many other things. These are just some of the ideas that came to my head as I was creating this presentation. So I want to show you how to create an interactive story today, and then I'm going to show you how to create a board game. So I'm going to show you the linked interactive story, and then I want to show you how to create the links and tell the student to go where they want to go. So for example, I created this story. Jill was walking to the park when she found a teddy bear. She picked it up and saw that there was a tag with a name and a phone number. What should Jill do? So like Dave showed us all of the features, all of the things that you can do with sounds. You could add the sound of you describing the story, reading the story. You can add a sound for each option, so that way the student can hear in addition to reading. So for my little ones, for my little kids in kindergarten, I would probably do that because they're not readers yet. So I would create the sound. I don't have any fancy equipment for sound. I just use my iPhone, create the sound and upload to Boom Learning and add the sound. I recorded my own voice. So here we're asking what Jill should do. Should she take the teddy bear home, or should she call the number and return it to its owner? If my student decides that she should take it home, they're going to click over here, and it's going to take them to this card. So over here, what happens, they have another part of the story and another question of what she should do. So depending on what they choose is going to take them to a different card. So for example, if we go over here and and my student chooses to call the number and return it to its owner, it takes them to a different card. So depending on their answer, that's where the story is going to go. So let me show you what I did over here. Okay, so here is my card. So I create my slides, I create my cards on PowerPoint. Anything that's not draggable, that doesn't have to be draggable, I create on PowerPoint and I upload to Boom Learning. So let me delete these so I can show you from scratch. So I'm giving my students two options: take it home or call the number. I already created the options, the cards that I'm going to take my students to, right? So card number 9 is the one where Jill decided to take the teddy bear home. You're going to just drag a text box over the option. So this button over here is not movable because I created it on PowerPoint. So you can just drag a text box, delete whatever's in the text box, and you're going to, well, actually, the first thing you're going to do is click on details on play and make sure that you click on Flow Magic. If you don't click on Flow Magic, you won't have the link option over here. So now that we clicked on Flow Magic, this is a Flow Magic deck. You dragged the text box, you deleted whatever was in the text box. You're going to then click on link, and you have options over here. You can click on previous card, next card, terminate play, or no link at all. But it is the next card, but even if it was the card all the way down here, all I have to do is scroll down, find the card that I want to link to, and click on it. That's it, it's linked, okay? And then I'm going to just do the same thing, duplicate it. I'm going to click again on link to. So if my student decides to call, let me see where that one is going to take her. Okay, so it's going to take to slide number 12. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So if my student decides to call the number and return it to its owner, they're going to click link to and click and link it to that card, specific card. So if I don't link my options, my student can't move out of this card. So like I said, escape room, I give them a task, and they can only escape, they can only get out of this card if they complete the task, right? So if we preview the deck, if they take it home, this is where it goes. If they click on over here, call the number and return to its owner, it takes my student to a different card. So, and then I added, this is the last card. This is obviously not a complete deck. So this is the last card in this story, and I added read again, which will take them to the first page of the story, or back to menu, which is, in this case, this is my menu to show you today. So in the interactive story, this interactive story that I just showed you now, there's no condition for my link because I don't have any right or wrong answers. So I just simply added the links to the buttons and took my student on a journey, you can say, reading the story. So this type of story is great to talk about making good choices. This is a great way maybe to start up with routines and in the beginning of the school year, I thought. Now, the board game works a little bit different. In this board game, this is a piece of an actual deck that I have in my Boom store. And it's to practice sight words. So each this is part of a bundle. Each deck in a bundle has 10 sight words that my students have to practice, and each sight word has 9 cards, 9 different tasks that they have to complete together. So so I linked over here. So I added 4 cards for my for the sight word the. And when my students, so in the actual deck in my store, I added game counters that my student moves. I added audio directions for students to, once they move to a new card, they know what they're going to do. So for the word, for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm gonna work with the word the. So I'm gonna, again, drag a text box, delete the text that's in the box, and I'm going to click on link to. And where do I want my student to go to once they click on this link? I want them to go to this card, which is the first practice card for the sight word the. So I'm going to click over here. Then, so now I don't need to condition it because there's no right or wrong answers, right? I'm not giving my student a task to complete in this particular card. So this is linked to this card over here, and I don't have to do any conditioning. Now for this card, the task is, what I told my students to do is touch a hand each time you read the word. And after you read it 3 times, touch the check mark. So I'm going to set each of the fingers as a correct answer. In my actual card, I also added the sound for the pronunciation of the word. And so again, you're going to drag. You can do a lot just with the text box in Boom Learning. There is a lot you can do and create just by using a text box. So drag the text box, resize it to cover the object, and click on correct. So this will be a correct answer because I want my student to click it each time that they read the word. And then you can simply duplicate it. Oops. And duplicate it again. Okay. And now you have to, I want my student to touch the check mark after they read 3 times. So again, you're going to drag a text box, resize it, delete the words, and click on link. Where is my student going to go to after they complete the task in this particular card? They're going to go to the next one. So it's linked to the next one. But here's the kicker. So this card actually needs a condition. I do not want my student to proceed to the next card unless they complete the tasks. So I need a condition. So this is a conditional link. It link if wrong. If they don't complete the task, what happens? Nothing happens. It does not move to the next card. So look when you preview it. Actually, let's preview from the game board. Where is it? Here it is. Preview from the game board. So I can add like game counters, move the game counters, but my sight word the is already linked. When I click on it, it takes me to this first task card. So my student's gonna go the, click on the finger, the, click on the next one, the, click on the next one, and then they'll click on here and it will take them to the next card. Now watch what happens if they don't touch the hands and they click here. They're not moved to the next card because they did not find all the correct answers, right? So this would be a just click the correct answer type of card. The next type of card that I have within the same deck is a drag and drop. So you can have different kinds of Boom cards inside one deck of Boom cards because you're using Flow Magic, right? So again, so I have my draggables over here. I added these letters as image. I dragged an image and chose the letters that I needed for my student to build the sight word the. So now I'm going to add 3 drop zones. Again, I'm going to use the text box, delete, click on drop zone because now this is my drop zone, duplicate it and duplicate it. I'm actually going to put a border. I don't want a black border, just a thin border. And then I'm going to, I want it to snap to center, duplicate, and duplicate. So now I have 3 drop zones, 1 for each letter of the word. Now all I have to do is link the letters to the correct drop zone. So this is the task that my student is going to complete in this card. Again, I'm going to drag a text box to create my conditional link. Let me move this to the side a little bit. So I drag the text box. I'm going to resize it, delete the text, and link it to the next one. Do I need a condition? Do I want my student to move forward if they don't complete it? No, I don't. So I'm going to add a condition. Now this is a conditional link. And when you preview it, so drag each of the letters into the box and click, and then they move to the next one. Okay. The next one, what I have is, so I have 2 things that I want my students to do. I want them to type the word 3 times, touch the finger each time, and then move on to the next one. So I will use fill in the blank. I will space it out, double click, type the word, click on submit. You can change the font, you can change the size, you can change the color. For some reason, I always go with blue, and okay. So this is what I want my student to do. I can simply duplicate it. So this is the part where they're going to type. Again, I feel like I'm being so repetitive, but it's that simple. Drag a text box, resize it. This is correct. I'm going to duplicate it over here, then again over here, and I'm going to duplicate it again. But now this one is, I'm going to uncheck correct, and I'm going to link it to the next one. Is there a condition? What do you think? Yes, yes, there's a condition. And then here's when you preview it. The click, oops, the click, and check. And then you go to the next one. And then the last one is, the last one would be just selecting the correct, the words that match the word and the sign. So you would do the same thing. I'm not gonna do them all with you because it's really the same thing. You're going to find the word that matches, the words that match the sign, and you're going to drag a correct text box over all of them. And then you're going to drag the incorrect text box over the rest. And then for the condition, you're going to drag a text box, link it, make it conditioned. And then, let me see if I can do that, just so we do the whole thing. And link it to whatever card you want that to go to. So in this case, I linked it to the last card. Oh, that one is correct, it's not wrong. Here, one more, and then I'm going to duplicate this one. Let's see if I did it right. So actually there's one more here. Let's see. So I want my student to find and select all the sight words that match the sign. So the, touch the check mark when you are done, and that's it. Like I said in the beginning, I do have a course that teaches you exactly what to do to create so many different types of boom cards. And without going too much into it, I have a special sale for you guys. If you use the code Ready for Boom, you have 15% off, and you can find it on my website. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something new, and hope it wasn't too complicated and I didn't go too fast. But that's what I have for you for today. Any questions, anything?
Yes, there's a couple questions, but I'm gonna save them as well for the
Awesome.
Q&A.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And they're pretty good questions. So,
Great.
well, thank you, Anna,
You're
for
welcome.
that.
Thank
That's
you.
very inspiring. As I said in our practice session, this makes me want to make them myself. There's all kinds of cool ways you can
know.
make these
Well, there's
boom
so much
cards.
you can do. Yeah. And like with the text box, you can do wonders with just the text box.
Yeah, it's just a fast little invisible button that
Yeah.
you can make go all
Yeah.
over. Thank you once more. And now
You're
I'm
welcome.
gonna let Monica M talk about chain images and hiding images, which is a new feature. This is very new for us, and I've been very excited about teaching creators and authors about the functionality so that they can start making really cool things. So thank you, Monica, for talking about this subject. It's near and dear to me. So please take it away.
Hi again. So I'm just going to share my screen for everyone to see. So again, just like what everyone and Kyle mentioned, today I will talk about chain images and hiding images. So basically, that's just an example of chain images and hiding images. Just an example of chain images. So hopefully I won't go too fast, but I will be covering a lot. I will be I will be speaking of lots of ideas that you can do with chain images. So here are my talking points. So from what you have learned from Anna, which is from about Flow Magic. So this is also a Flow Magic deck. I'm going to discuss the basics of chain image. And then I'm going to discuss the basics like chain reactions or cause and effect that you can do with chain images. And then I'm going to take you to classic game ideas that you can do for your students. And then there's a bonus about hiding images. And then I'm just going to show you a really cool bonus at the end. So let's start. The basics of chain images. So this is an example of a chain image. So for chain images, let's just discuss what are chain images. So chain images allow you to connect multiple image to an image element. So this is my image element, my default cover. So when I click it, it will change into another image. When I click it again, it will change into another image. When I click it, it will change into another image. And then once I click it, because I only have, that's the cover image, and then I have 3 linked images, it will return to the default or the cover image. So this is great. For example, that's just an example. You can use that, for example, when you're doing storytelling. Like one day there was a boy named Darius who wanted to go fishing. Then he decided to take his rod and put the bait on the hook. And then after that, he threw the fishing line into the water. And finally, he caught a fish. And then how can you retell the story again? So it's just a nice way to practice retelling. So just to show you the behind the scenes of that deck. So this is your Boom Studio. So how do you do it? First, you need to drag your image onto your working deck. So I'm just going to quickly find the image. So this is my default image. So I'm just going to do it side by side. So now I have my image, my default image, my cover image. Now I also resized it. Now what you need to do is you need to scroll down and then go to image properties and then add chain images. So when you click it, your image window will appear. Now choose which one you want to go next. So I want this image to go next. As you can see, you will see that is the default sequence. So that's the next image. If you want to add another image to it, click add chain image again, and then click the next image in sequence. So that's the next in sequence. And then add chain image again, and then that's the third. For chain images, you can link up to 9 images, or 10 if you will include the default image. So only up to 9 or 10. So it has to be an image. As of the moment, you cannot link sounds to make it a chain image, like sound and then change it into a background and then add another image to it. You can only do that for images right now. So just to show you how it looks like, I'm just going to refresh it. Okay. And then, oops. All right, let's go. So side by side, this is how it works. Now, so that's just the basics, just what chain images are. Now, how to use chain images, or where can you use chain images? This is one of the examples. You can use it to talk about cause and effect or chain reactions. For example, we have been talking about escape rooms. Escape rooms are one of the big things right now. You can use chain images. For example, you can link an image to the door and then you can click it, then it opens. So you can use it at the end of an escape room. So you can use a note, like for example, at the very end of the escape room, you can click the door and then you have escape. So one of the cool examples that you can use it for is that, oops, wait. All right, oopsie, wait, okay. So you can also use it, for example, when you click a treasure chest, it will open. So what can you do with it? You can put, for example, for the next image, you can put the clues in there. So that's another example of a chain image. You can also use it, for example, for popping a balloon. So there, popping. For example, you're doing an articulation drill or an articulation task. So you can link another image to it. When you click on a balloon, it will pop. So what are the other? So here is the behind the scene for that one. So this is our work area. So how did I do it? So drag an image. This is the first one, the door. And then I'm just going to resize this quickly. All right. And then again, scroll down, add chain image, and then the door opening. So again, drag an image. That's the treasure chest. Quickly resize it. And then drag it down, scroll down, and then add chain image. Oops. And then that one. The other one, drag it, and then the balloon. All right. And then add chain image, then popping balloon. So what else can you do with it? Some of the other examples that you can do with it are, for example, popping bubbles. So when you're making a virtual bubble, you can use that chain image feature to pop the bubbles. You can also use it for budding flowers. Like there's a flower that's closed and then it's going to open. So, and then another use for it, for example, turning on the light. So flipping the switch. So that's another example of where you can use chain image. So now let's return. All right. So this is an example. So now let's talk about some of the classic game ideas that you can do with chain images. All right. So here is one classic example. So this is a famous game. This is one of the things that we usually do. For example, this is a classic tic-tac-toe game. So we have been used to using drag and drop for this one, draggable image. But for this one, I decided to use chain images instead. So for example, you are doing verbs like point to the boy that is reading. So, or the child can say reading. So you can click X, or for example, the other player is a circle. So you can tap it again to make it into a circle. So the next player goes, and then I want to put an X on the boy that is cooking. So X. So the next player, sleeping. So, oops, oh. So, and then I need to block it, cutting. So that's a classic game example. So how are you going to make this? So let's go back to our Boom Studio. So just the breakdown. So we have here, I'm just going, I already placed the images here. I resized it already just for us to cover a lot. So I'm just going to quickly drag and drop this one and then add chain image, then the X, and then add chain image, and then the O. So same for this one. Add chain image, X, add chain image, then O. Same for the last image, add chain image, X, and then O. So I just want to delete the other one. All right, so delete. So this is how you make a classic game. So let's refresh it again. Okay, so let's go here. So it appears, it works now. So that is one of an example of a classic game idea that you can do with chain image. Another classic game that you could do is line of 4. So for this one, instead of, so as you can see, I made a circle that has a hole in the middle because I bought a clip art that is like this already. So of course I couldn't take the circles out. So I just made this circle. I just made a circle with a hole in it. And then what you can do with it is that, for example, you can click that one and then the player 2 goes. So it changes color. Player 1 goes, player 2, then player 1. So you can use that to create that game. So how did I make it? All right, let's go to our game area. So again, this is the breakdown. As you can see, what I did was I overlaid it on, I placed it on to the default image that I have. And then what I did was, I think this is a part. All right, I think this one, yep. All right, this one has no link yet. So I just overlaid it and then add chain image. And then this is my next image, add chain image. Then this is the next image. And then it's going to appear. So also when you duplicate it, it automatically, it is easy actually, because once you duplicate it, you also duplicate the chain images underneath it. So it's done. So that is one of another game idea that you could do with the chain image. So another idea is bingo, a classic game. So this is a back to school activity that you can do with your students. So they could just identify, you can use it for vocabulary. And then, for example, they would say glue, they would identify glue, and then scissor, notebook, or pencil. So that is another game example. So what you would do with it is that, go to our work area. So this is the breakdown. I have here the image, and then that is the linked image to it. So let's just bring this to our bingo card. Add chain image, the circle that I used earlier, the yellow circle. Then pencil, add chain image, this one. And then let's bring it to our working area. Then add chain image, and then the yellow circle. So that is how you can quickly make bingo through chain images. Another classic example is this one, memory game. So you can use chain images to make a memory game. So how do you do it? For example, this is my default card, but my default card are the leaves. So when I click on it, it shows an image of a child holding a leaf. And then I try to make it invisible. Like, for example, what if the child gets it? So I try to make it invisible by putting a square that is the same color as my background. So this one, oh, that's the same. What if it's not the same? Oh, that's the same also. What if it's not the same? So I can just make it and click it again so that it would default back to its original cover page, which is the leaves. So how did I make this one? So this is our work area. For this one, all right, drag your image and then, okay, here is my clip art for this one. All right, so this is our default image. Add chain image. So this is my chain image. And then add chain image. So I need a white square just to make it match. So, all right. So it's going to reappear again if you don't get it. So that's it. So now, another example. This is one of my favorite examples, probably the next one. So, you know that Pop-Its or fidget popper, fidget toys are one of the in-games right now. So you can use, actually, for this one, I bought the clip art just as it is. So of course, it's a whole image, but to make it appear as if it's really popping, I had to do something with each of the bubbles here. So when you press it, for example, it's going to be like that. So you can use that. And if, for example, you create an error or there's an error for the child, you can click it again and then it returns, it defaults back to its original state. So this is really cool. So how did I make this, you ask? So let's go back to our work area. So again, I bought the clip art as it is. So I had to do something with the individual bubbles to it. So what did I do? So actually, I made an invisible. So I made an invisible square to go over this one, to go over my fidget popper. So this one. And then that is where I link a chained image. So why should you do an invisible one outside of Boom and not on the Boom platform itself? Because if you would just make this and set it as, for example, where is it? All right. Size and rotate the order. All right. If I would just make it, I would just set it transparent on the Boom platform itself. What would happen is this. Oops. When I click it back, so it would not default back into the transparent state. So I had to make a transparent square to go over that image. And then after that, I link the pressed button so that it would reappear again. So that is how I did it. Okay. So I hope I'm not going too fast, and I hope you're getting lots of ideas from what I'm speaking right now about chain images. So that's our work area. Okay, last, now I'm going to talk about some bonus or transitions instead of chain images. Like, there is also a new feature which is called hiding images, and it's different from chain images, or similar actually, they are similar. The only difference is that when you use hiding images, it doesn't reappear. For chain images, when you press it, it would change into another image, and the default image could reappear. But for hiding image, when you click it, it's going to disappear completely. So some of the examples that you could do with it is this one. I know Spot It is popular, but please don't use it because Spot It is trademark. So I just named it as Click It. So for example, this is a back to school Click It. What you would do with this is that for Click It, you're going to match the objects that are the same for both of the squares. So for this one, instead of like highlighting the wrong ones, so I chose to hide the wrong images so that it would highlight the other images. For example, they said folder, so it's going to disappear and it's not going to reappear again. Even though I click it a couple of times, it's not going to reappear again because I used hiding images for this one. This one. So those are hiding images. So what would be left? So in terms of correction would be our backpack. So that is an example of where can you use hiding images. So how do you do it? All right, so this is our work area. Actually, I have positioned already the images. I would just set the answers. So for this one, what I did was that I highlighted the backpacks, then click correct. So it's already set. For the others, what you should do is that you click the other images and then go to transitions and then click hide when tapped. Again, click or highlight all the images, go to transitions, and then click hide when tapped. So that's it. That is how you do it. So let's just refresh it for us to see. Okay. Oops. All right, let's go to transitions for this one. So it works. All right. So another game example for hiding images is this one, the popular mystery picture activity. So when you click it, the square would be gone. So in the past, what we would usually do is that use flow magic. The downside is that when you use flow magic, it would take lots of cards for you to uncover the mystery picture. But with chain images, it's easy because you would use just one deck and then the image would appear underneath. So that's another example. So how did I do that? So go to this. So I just duplicated it so that I can easily copy the squares and not resize it anymore. So this is not this has not been set yet. So couple of cards. I'm using Mac, by the way, so Command C. This is my work area, Command V, and then go to transition since it's already, the squares have been already highlighted. Go to transitions and then click hide when tapped. Okay, click hide when tapped, and then it's going to do the same thing. All right. So actually not last. So here's another idea that you could do. This is taken from a popular toy again, in which you need to remove the teeth or click the teeth, and then when you hit on the wrong tooth, the shark will bite. So for this one, I use hiding images again, but when you click on the wrong tooth, it's game over. So for this one, I tried if you could do chain image and hiding image at the same time, but as of the moment, the feature only allows you to use the hiding image underneath. It defaults back, even though you go with the C images, even though you use the Z images or as the Z order, I mean, the chain images would always go on top. So that's why you cannot use chain images and hiding images at the same time. So for this one, I just combined hiding images and then flow magic. This is what I mean by it. So for example, this is our work area. So this is the shark. If I use, for example, chain image, add chain image, and then use, all right, where is my, all right, game over. So as you can see, oops, it goes on top, and then all right, before that, let's remove this one first. And then let's try first if we would set it to hide when tapped. And then this one is chain image. Oops. For this one, chain image. So I think what would happen is that you wouldn't be able to click on the things underneath the tooth because the chain image defaults on top, so you cannot click on the teeth, the teeth or the tooth for it. So instead, what I did was, for this one, I used hide when tapped. So I'm just going to default back. So remove this one. And then I resorted to hide when tap for this one. And then I set one up for Flow Magic. And then I linked it to the next card. So that is the wrong tooth. So that when I click on the wrong tooth, it would lead you to the next page. So those are some of the game ideas that you could do. So finally, I said that there would be a bonus. I'm just going to show you because this is such a new feature. I haven't made a deck for publishing, not until today. So I made this deck, which would be free for a limited time until on Sunday in particular. So I'm going to publish it right after this webinar, right after this presentation. And then what I'm going to do is that I will make it free until Sunday. So you can grab it, you can download it in from my Boom store. So this is an alphabet fidget popper. So this is a combination of Flow Magic, chain image, and hiding images. So this are some of the things that you can do. So this is the information page. You can watch a video on how to use it. So you can go play it. So what are the features of this one? So you can form the letter A through the virtual fidget toy. And then to check, there is an alphabet guide that goes over it. So forming letter A or recognizing letter A. Then when you go to the next, this is a chain image as well. So alien, anchor, apple, astronaut, and axe. Oops. All right. And then once a child is done, you can click on the book and then it would lead you to this page. This is your digital alphabet sticker book. Once I'm done, so for this one, I use hiding image. So the star would appear once you click on the letters. So if you want to go back to the activity, you can click on the next letter and then you can do the next activity. One of the things that you could also do with it is that repurpose it for SLPs, repurpose it for articulation drills. For example, you would have lots of trials for this one. So that is another game example. Baby, boat, basket, boots. So I can also go to the menu, which leads you here, and you can click here, or you can go back here. So basically, that is the end of my presentation. So I hope you learned something from it and start making decks using chain images and hiding images.
That's amazing. Thank you, Monica. I really like that pop. I want to play that. That's an excellent concept. Well, thank you everyone for attending and also listening to these Boom Card pros talk about making games and using Boom Learning to make their classrooms fun. And there's a bit of time for Q&A, so I want to go over a few questions from the audience who was watching. I'm going to start with a question for Anna. Do you have a video in your coursework that talks about using Flow Magic
Yes.
as well?
Yes, I do. I walk you through everything that I did today and a lot more. Also how to create escape rooms I have over there. So there's a whole entire module on Flow Magic in the course.
That's good to hear because I think Flow Magic is pretty expansive. There's a lot
Yes.
of things you can do and people need inspiration. So that sounds wonderful. I have a question for Dave. I think we answered this in text, but can you talk about your mic that you picked for sound?
Sure. I've just picked a good desktop mic that has a USB, like a connection to my laptop. Oh, sorry, yeah, I just used the Blue Yeti. But as Anna was mentioning that she uses her iPhone, iPads and iPhones work pretty well, especially the iPad for video works really well if you have to do any high quality video, as long as you use the back of the iPad, not the facing camera. It's got really good quality. Usually the sound is good quality. I've used an iPhone with a lapel mic, and I've had some good effects with that as well. But this one has worked really well, and yeah, you just have to kind of problem solve till you get the right result you want.
Okay, and you have a pop filter too.
I
which is
do, and they're
this
pretty
little-
inexpensive. They're usually just attached to your desk, but yep. And I usually you can also get an arm that holds this, and that you can base it away from any kind of sources of vibration, which helps too to get a good sound quality. Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's good to hear. Microphones are picky.
Yeah.
Monica, I have a question for you. When you're making boom cards and you're using these new features, what do you think would be a further improvement of chain images or hidden images? Like an additional feature. What would help you the most with something you're thinking of making?
I'm actually thinking of a lot because there is a lot you could do a lot with chain images. For one, just like I think someone in the Boom publishers group also raised that comment the other day, wherein I hope you could also use a sound with the image to make it a default cover or the default image. So that, for example, for the fidget toy, when you click on that sound with the image, you can hear it go pop. So I hope that's one of the features that you could do with it in the future. Another example is that you can use, as of the moment, you can use chain image and make it draggable as of the moment. So it's really just stationary. So I hope there's also a feature in the future wherein you can do like a chain image and then you can drag it somewhere else. So that's another image. And then for the Z features, just Z order, just like I mentioned, because as of the moment, the chain images defaults to be on the top, so it couldn't go down. So I was thinking of that game, for example, that shark game, wherein there's one tooth and then it would be a chain image so that the game over would appear. But unfortunately, it's not possible as of the moment. But with Boom, I think anything is possible. So I'm hoping for those features to be somewhat developed in the future.
Okay, thank you. We have received many requests while you were explaining. Can one of the images be the correct one? Can it make a sound? Can there be flow magic where it doesn't chain until conditions are met elsewhere on the card? So I'm glad you said all those things because they mirror what a lot of of the attendees were asking for. So while I cannot promise anything, I apologize. Now, we do listen to these because we think these ideas are brilliant. We think that they will expand the fun. I have another question for Dave. Do you have any resources in Spanish? Because you had a story that was read, and one person asked if there were any.
Well, my wife and I work on the Spanish decks, but I've got actually 30 games that I'd already done in English for articulation. The hardest thing was getting the deck of all the different images for the different speech sounds finished. But once we have that, I have about 30 ready to go. But what we just need to do the videos, and then we're going to start putting them up very quickly in September. I'm also working on a French series with a friend of mine. So
That's awesome.
So there is a troll in a bowl. It's called what is it called? Troll in Espanol. It's a different page I have. I have actually 3 stores right now. So 4 stores.
That's so brilliant.
So.
Oh wow. Okay.
You can do a lot more when you have friends.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I don't want to miss any here, but I have a little bit of time for maybe one or two more questions. Anna, do you ever use Google Slides when you make boom cards and then put FlowMagic empty text boxes on top? How do you build your
I
artboards?
don't use Google Slides because I like the features in PowerPoint more because I have my fonts already stored in PowerPoint. But you can definitely use Google Slides. You just have to set the slide to the correct size, 7 inches by 5 inches, and export them as JPEG after that. So it doesn't really matter where you create them. I personally use PowerPoint because I prefer PowerPoint, but you can definitely use Google Slides to create them and then export them to Boom Learning. Whatever is not going to be movable, you can create outside of the platform. If you need anything to be movable, then you cannot. So whatever is movable, you leave it out, and then you add that once you're on the platform.
It's kind of like cutting out a little piece of paper and just putting it on top, and if it can slide around, that's how you have to make your files.
Yeah,
built.
sometimes I just create the background on PowerPoint, and then add everything else on Boom. But because I already have, like, you know, I have a lot of things on my computer that shouldn't need to be, don't need to be on my computer taking up space. But my backgrounds and you know, I create like this, the kind of like the foundation of the deck, and then I throw it back to Boom Learning.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. There was a few other questions. We need to get a link for your store, Monica, and put it in the chat for everybody. Can you tell me what the name is on the
yeah, you can find my store, Speak and Teach PH. So I'm just going to put it in on the chat also. Right, Speak and Teach PH. That's the name. So yeah. So there.
I think I found a link to it. There we go. Okay. I think that's it. We're running over a little bit, which I kind of expected, but that's okay. And I don't see any more questions. There were some technical questions, but we were able to help with those sort of behind the scenes. Well, I want to thank you guys very, very much for being here. This was very fun and awesome. I'm super happy right now to be here and talking to you. We will have a recording of this webinar, which will be in a new playlist on our YouTube page for the Boom Learning Symposium 2022. This is the last panel for the day. We will have panels again on August 4th, Thursday. And then in the evening today, there is a social meetup that will start. It's just a Zoom meeting, so you don't have to register for it. And I think there will be a link for that. I'm not sure where that is. It might have been emailed to the anyone who registered for this one. So thank you again. I'm going to let everybody go. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you, and have a good night, guys.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.